A whole sectional couch.
Ate all the way to the wood.
And when she wanted to destroy something, she did a good job at it.
So we buy her a new toy every day, and it would be destroyed before the night's end. She just had so much energy. I mean, James would take her for these long mile hikes,
like in the desert.
Tucson summer heat, over 100 degrees, and she would still be wired for sound. She had so much energy and just desired freedom so much. It really ultimately is what pushed us to live the life that we live now. She was part of our decision-making process. Every time we would go to the next step of our life, it was with Jules in mind. So we left the city, we left Tucson and moved to northern Arizona looking for property, not really having a goal in mind specifically, other than Jules needs space to roam. She needs space to play. Our days off and our time off of work was always filled with, how can we give this dog a chance to run around? Where can we go to let them play, let them roam?
Hi friends, this is James and Kara, and we are Kerouacs Cruising.
We are taking you on a journey, traveling the country with our dogs and finding remote places where the dog
and us
can roam free and play while we discuss life's growths, beauty, and some struggles along the way.
We recommend pairing our episodes with our blog at kerouacscruising.com, where we organize accurate information in an easy-to-follow format, removing all of the conversational goodies.
The link for this episode's blog post is in the show notes.
We encourage you to join the conversation by commenting where you listen, engaging with us on Facebook or Instagram at Kerouacs Cruising, or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Sit back and enjoy the journey.
Hello, friends.
Hi, everybody. Today,
it's a day that will live in infamy.
The day we had to put our dog down, Jules, the oldest one of the clan. We've had her whole life. We've had all of our dogs their whole life, basically. But Jules, we've had her. We got her from Kara's friend. We've had her for 13 and a half years. And she was an amazing dog. Really, as much as she destroyed, she was just so lovable and so much fun when I was in Tucson, really through her whole life. But when I was in Tucson, that dog would go 8-10 miles in a day and want to do more.
Yeah.
We would have to take her out a couple times because she had social anxiety so bad, or separation anxiety so bad, that when we used to have to go to work, she would destroy the house. Yeah. Not a little bit of destroying, like destroy carpet.
She's eaten carpet down to subflooring. She's eaten door frames. She ate an entire section.
A whole sectional couch. She
ate all the way to the wood.
She made it not a sectional.
Yeah.
When she wanted to destroy something, she did a good job at it.
We buy her a new toy every day, and it would be destroyed before the night's end.
We ended up getting her at the end, the big Kongs, and I would fill it with peanut butter and other toys, the big one. And we would leave, and that would keep her busy for a good bit of time. But even sometimes we would come back and it still wasn't enough. But
she just had so much energy. She just was overpouring with energy. It was like we couldn't do enough to get James would take her for these long mile hikes
like in the desert,
Tucson summer heat, over 100 degrees, and she would still be wired for sound.
She would run from shade to shade, and I would bring her swimming, and I could throw the stick as far as I could throw it, and she would swim out there, get it, come back, drop it at your feet, and want you to throw it again. She had
so much energy and just desired freedom so much. It really ultimately is what pushed us to live the life that we live now. She was part of our decision-making process. Every time we would go to the next step of our life, it was with Jules in mind. So we left the city, we left Tucson and moved to northern Arizona looking for property. But not really having, a goal in mind specifically. James always wanted to live off grid, I suppose. But other than Jules needs space to roam, she needs space to play. And still, in Tucson, our days off were situated around trying to do things with Jules, bringing her with us for road trips. I mean,
Bringing
for a long
bringing
time,
her a place to play.
James had a little blue Canyon, Canyon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A GMC Canyon. It was just a little 3-seater front bench seat. And him and Jules would be in the front seat all the time. Like, that's just what we did. And, eventually she had a litter and we got Bella. And so it was, the 4 of us doing everything together. But, Bella's never had the amount of energy that Jules has. And so it was always, even when we moved to Northern Arizona, like our days off and our time off of work was always filled with, how can we give this dog a chance to run around? Where can we go to let them play, let them roam? And then, so we eventually got our property, and that was glorious for her. Her and Bella would just take off hunting. We wouldn't see them for hours.
Literally, they could hunt for 3 hours and we wouldn't see them. Sometimes I would go drive around looking for them.
At first we would be anxious. There was a few times we both would be late to work on separate occasions. I would be late sometimes, or he would be late other times, because we're looking for the dogs. We couldn't find them because they're just out roaming and hunting and doing whatever they do. And as Jules was getting older, that's when we got Norman, because Jules had it was like hitting a brick wall. It was like she'd slowed down so significantly. We were like, she just doesn't have a lot of time left. And Bella was only 7, so we didn't want Bella to deteriorate at the rate of her mom. So we had gotten Norman, and it put a new zing in Jules'
Norman's
life.
4, so we thought Jules was gonna die 3 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
And even today, we brought her swimming.
So, I guess the end of it, right? If you've been watching some of our YouTube videos, you might have caught Jules in some of them having a hard time. There was one in particular where she had fallen down the steps in the background. And, it's been an ongoing where we're like back and forth. She's had the incontinence. We've talked about that for a while.
The incontinence has been a year now.
Yeah, well over a year, I feel like, because we didn't even know medication existed, at first. And so that's been ongoing, and the medication helped curb it for a while, but I think that it made it worse in the long run. But her legs have been getting weak. When she would be standing, she'd be kind of wobbling back and forth. She just wasn't steady. And we took them for a little bit of a walk and a swim the other day, and Jules went to go jump in the truck, even though James was getting ready to scoop her up, because she's proud and she's stubborn, and she, no matter what, wanted to be able to do her own thing. She just didn't think anybody should have to take care of her. She did not like being picked up. And so when she jumped, she just couldn't make the jump, and is like her legs gave out on her, and she had collapsed completely, face planted. It was a really sad to watch,
couldn't get up.
One of those moments that were just like, oh my God, it's time. And she couldn't get up. So James scooped her up off the ground and put her in the truck. And she was really wobbly after that. She recovered a little bit, but not really. And then she slept. So we made the appointment to take her in, and she slept overnight and woke up the next morning. She wanted to get out early in the morning so she can meander in the cool temperatures. Yeah. And then we took her to the lake, and she swam and meandered there a little bit before we took her in. So it's tough because, for any dog parent, how it is. You just don't ever know when it's actually time, and you don't want to wait until it's too late where they're miserable. And, it's just not a pretty scene.
She was in pain.
She was.
She would shiver often.
Yeah, it was time.
She couldn't hear anymore. She was peed nonstop all the time on everything we owned.
Yeah.
And I think that she's at a better place.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to empathize that, we never know when it's time. And, if you've been through that, you're still asked the questions even after you do it, if it was time. And I think that's a normal part of the whole thing. If you wait too long, then you're feeling guilty that you waited too long, that you should have done it sooner. So I don't think there's ever a good time to make that decision. You just got to decide and stick to it. I think that's what we did. We had to make the appointment because we would have just kept putting it off, because that's what we had been doing. You never want to say goodbye. You never want to end another being's life. And I think that's the hardest part of owning these precious animals because they add so much to your life, and their life is so short, and it's really hard to lose them.
We got to pat her till
It
she
was
took
a
her last
beautiful-
breath.
It was a beautiful
And she
experience.
calmed down and just laid right next to us.
Yeah, it was hard, but we figured, you know, because the dogs are part of why we do what we do and why we do it the way that we do it, you know, camping remotely and off grid and all of that. And she's really, I mean, I know she's not on the screen a ton, but she's such a big part of what we do behind the scenes. You know, I know she's not a lot on the camera and spoken of very much, but she's such a big part of our life and why Kerouacs Cruising is what it is. So it just seemed appropriate to let you guys know that she's no longer with us. We are down to just Bella and Norman and
2 dogs.
2-dog home, and still doing the same thing. Nothing's going to change. We'll just have a little bit of a missing piece while we're doing it. What else you got, baby?
That's it.
All right, you guys. We love you guys.
Bye.